Hey everybody, I've been a bit lax lately in some of these videos. I haven't been playing Battlefield much, and actually I've played maybe half an hour to an hour in the last week, and this is coming back after a week off, and the gameplay is not amazing. Before this I was doing some games where I was basically picking horrible setups and seeing if I could do well with them. I did okay. If anybody really wants to see that kind of stuff, tell me in the comments, and then I'll do some terrible weapon challenges. Why not? And as far as this gameplay goes, it's pretty much uncut. I might leave out some of the things where I'm in between the menus and stuff like that, and I've sped up some boring sections of it. But I'm trying to get a whole gameplay here because some people really like seeing the entire gameplay. Okay, the main reason for this commentary is talking about my day yesterday. Actually, I went to a very large gun show in Indianapolis. They had, everything. There was so much there. There's no way I could have got to everything. And I kind of thought before this, well, maybe I can record some video of the actual weapons that are in the game and real life versions of them. But I don't think they take too kindly to taking videos. I think it was actually supposedly against the rules. People were taking photos and videos. But it was so crowded and so nuts, and I forgot to bring my good camera. All I had was my cell phone, so I didn't actually, get anything really. But I would like to talk about them here, because some of those guns are pretty cool, and some of the guns I thought I would really like, I didn't like that much, and some guns that I didn't, ever really barely think about or look at were actually pretty nice when you held them in your hands. Now, first and foremost, the SCAR, or in this game, the SCAR-H. Okay, first of all, I'm not going to use the actual real names of the guns because I think a lot of you probably wouldn't know what the hell I was talking about. So I'm going to use the in-game versions at least of these guns. That's how I'm going to refer to them. Anyway, the SCAR, the SCAR in your hands is really nice. I've never paid much attention to it. I don't know why, because I always, it's not my favorite AR-based weapon. But, it was really nice in your hands. It felt very solid. It's a pretty cool gun. It's way out of my price range, but it's a pretty nice gun. Now, in-game, I don't typically use this weapon much because I don't like the smaller magazine, even though it does hit fairly hard. And this game, I actually do pretty well here in the beginning. Later on, you could see the things just weren't working for me. Sometimes it was hit detection, sometimes it was just me not playing and being pretty cold at the game after a week of not hardly playing at all, and the week before that I barely played. Next up is the M4. I got to hold this weapon, and it also had the grenade launcher attachment to it, and man, this thing meant business. Anybody that has this, you don't mess with that, dude. I've never really liked this gun in real life that much, and in game, it's a gun I usually don't pick for anything. But man, this gun felt pretty awesome to hold, and definitely something that would be pretty cool to actually have in real life. I'll never actually have one, but a pretty awesome weapon. And the paint job on it, either it was somebody's personal weapon that had a little bit of use, or maybe maybe had service time on it. But it looked just mean with that little bit of wear and tear on it. I really liked it. Next up is the AR-160. At first, I only seen the 22 version of it, and I'm not a big fan of 22 rifles. I know there's plenty of reasons why people actually use them, one of which is the cost. They're pretty cheap to use and fire. But anyway, I finally found one chambered in 223 or 5.56, depending either way. And it was a decent rifle. It definitely wasn't my favorite of all the ARs. And actually, going into the whole AR platform, if you don't know, there is a million versions of the AR. In-game, since it's the military version, it's going to be the M16. Whether it be, in this game, it's the A4, but, there was also an A3 in real life, and A1, A2. And but the most common military use is, I believe, still the M16 A4. But, the civilians, all AR, not M16 or whatever you want to call it, because it's a semi-auto rifle version of it. But, long story short, there is so many different versions of it from so many manufacturers that it would blow your mind. I don't even probably know half of them. And, and they range from, I have a fairly simple one myself, a DPMS. And it's relatively cheap. I think I paid about $700 for it, and I put maybe $200 in accessories. It's not amazing, but at the same time, it does exactly what you want it to do. It can shoot down range. It's very accurate, and I have really no complaints with it other than to get a tiny bit of surface rust around a couple of areas. But great gun, and you know those things range from that $700 to, man, you can go a couple $1,000s, especially when you start going accessories on them, because the sights, you know, you get the standard iron sights. I really don't like the iron sights on the standard AR platform, and the opticals, man, red dot. If you want a decent red dot, you can actually, from like Primary Arms, which is kind of a Chinese knockoff of Aimpoint, you can find one for around $100, I believe. It's not going to be amazing, but they're fairly accurate. And anything less than that, you probably would want to stay away. And then you get to the whole EOTech, which in Battlefield is pretty much always I believe they're always called the holo sights. And then you get to the Aimpoint, which is I think just red dot in this game. I think that's all they call it. Those things have amazing battery life. Both those two are used in the military quite a bit, from what I understand. And then you get to the real big money, because those things, those other two red dots, you're probably gonna looking at $300 to $700, depending on which options. Now the ACOGs, I really don't like ACOGs in Battlefield games, and or pretty much any game. But in real life, my buddy Greg, who I often play with, has one, and it's actually pretty nice. It's a lot nicer than you're thinking. But they are extremely expensive. Expect to spend anywhere from $900 to, hell, I saw some from $2,800, and I don't think that was even the most expensive option. They're pretty cool, though. I mean, your accuracy with those things, firing at least semi-auto, is very, very good. And outside of just optics, there's a million different attachments, different grips, different stocks, different rails, different lights, lasers, you name it. The AR platform is kind of, in a way, like Battlefield. There's a million things you can attach to it, and there's a million companies, it seems like, that have, you know, different attachments. It's, you know, you could basically make an AR, you know, totally different than anybody else's, fairly easy. And there's no real, well, I guess there's some wrong ways you can go about it, but I mean, if you can imagine it, it probably exists somewhere. And I can't talk about the AR platform without talking about the AK. I actually really like AKs. I kind of regret buying an AR because the AK with the 7.62 chambered round is, it just kicks a little bit harder, and I really like that. It's not that it kicks hard. It's not like it's going to throw you back or anything. But if you shoot them back to back or shoot a target, you could definitely tell which one's hitting harder. That 7.62 out of an AK, if people, you know, also complain about, well, it's not as accurate. Let me tell you something. I'm more accurate with my boss's Chinese-made AK than I am with my AR. Even though there's a million reasons why I shouldn't be, I definitely am with its iron sights. I don't know what it is, but I really like the AKs, and I'll probably be getting one in the future if I can find a decent quality made one. Because today, you know, they always say AKs don't jam or whatever. They definitely can. Some of the crappier ones that are coming out today, and plus they've gone up quite a bit in price. I'm still searching around looking for a good one. And since we're talking about guns, I do want to buy. There's two other ones. I don't know when, if I'll get these ever. The SW40 or the Chiappa Rhino. I really kind of wanted one. I don't have a handgun. All I have is my AR. And I haven't been able to actually hold one of these and test it out. And they actually had some of these there. They actually had every variant of it. And the same exact one that's in Battlefield, I actually quite like. I didn't, you know, of course I couldn't fire this inside the building since there was a million people, but it felt really good in my hand. And it's not something I would actually carry. It's just for target practice. But I definitely want to. I don't know what I definitely want. I want to shoot this gun. I want to get some 357 and see see if it doesn't have any kick like they actually say. But it's probably a gun I will get in the future. And after that, the P90. You can't have the exact gun as the P90. It's called the PS90 in real life. But I've always really liked this gun. I actually have what is it called? Airsoft gun, plastic shooting BB gun of it. That's very lifelike. I spent a fortune on it years and years and years ago. And you know, I was a little disappointed with it in real life. It didn't feel exactly like, you know, my gun does. It was I assumed it would be heavier since there's actually a little bit more metal in the real version of it. But the balance of it, it was all right. I just was slightly disappointed. I think I built it up a little too much in my head. After that, the AUG. I love the AUG in most games. It's not always the best gun, but man, I actually got to hold one of these things, and this thing was pretty freaking cool. It felt great in my hand. It felt just right. The optics that come with it and some of the options they have were actually excellent. I really like this gun. I'm not going to go into too much detail, but because there's no way in hell I would ever be able to afford it, because it's like $2,400 to $3,000. There's no way. Unless I was making some big YouTube money, this would never actually happen. But a cool gun. And after that, I did get a handle, what Battlefield calls the MTAR. That was a pretty odd little thing. It was pretty neat, but it was as plasticky as it looks in the game. And it was definitely pretty neat. I definitely wouldn't own one if I ever could. And then let's go to some pistols. 1911s, tons of 1911s. Every option, every kind, all kinds of custom. I'll probably never own one, but there was anything you can imagine. Pretty cool ones too. Glocks, every Glock you can imagine. Handled the Glock 17, and there was all the way up to the Glock 41. I do not know the difference of any of them. And I also got to handle a CZ75. Again, it's something I will never own, but pretty neat. There was also M9s there. Again, something I'll never own, but you know what? It was in the game, so I thought I'd at least pick it up. And there was also the SAW, the M249. Pretty cool. It was huge. It was mounted up. I didn't actually try it because guess what? There was a mounted 50 cal right beside it, and that thing is freaking massive. It's so ridiculously big in person. I can't imagine even maintaining this thing out in the field mounted up to something. It was freaking huge and badass. And also a gun that's not in the game, the Barrett 50 cal. Holy crap. That thing is massive. There's no way in hell that, I guess there is some 50 cals that drops. So I take that back. Well, anyway, freaking awesome. That thing was so freaking big. I can't imagine that being your standard weapon in the military. But it is pretty freaking cool. It was pretty freaking cool. And outside of that, there was a G36C mounted up on a wall, but I didn't get to actually hold the thing. I kind of wanted to, but there was a crowd around it, and I just could not get to it. And we just went on by. And other than that, there was also the SG553, and I didn't get to try that one. It's never been a real favorite of mine. It's actually a fairly decent gun in the Battlefield series, but I didn't actually get a chance to get my hands on it. And I was a little disappointed, but at the same time, it's definitely not a favorite of mine. And it was, oh well. And on top of that, there's a bunch of other guns. I just can't remember them right now. There's such a large variety of things. And if you made it this far in the video, I'm not actually a big giant gun nut. I've owned one. I haven't owned it that much. I don't shoot it that much. I don't carry a gun on me. I use it for target practice. If you've never fired one, they're actually quite a bit of fun. And I encourage you to go shoot one, because even if you don't really like them in real life, you fire one a couple times and you will have the time of your life. Assuming you put up with me for this long, I'd appreciate the like, and I'd also please subscribe if you would. I have a couple reviews here of the MP7 and the MTAR, both very good weapons. And you guys have any comments? Any guys gun lovers? Do you hate guns? Any questions about anything I saw? Leave a comment down below. Thanks, everybody.